The courtroom was more crowded than ever, every seat taken, every aisle crammed with cameras and microphones. Reporters leaned in, fans pressed outside, and everyone waited for one man. No one expected to see him in the witness box, yet there he was. Jay-Z. He entered with quiet confidence, impeccably dressed, face composed, but the tension in the room was visible. This wasn't a stage or a boardroom, it was a federal courtroom. Across from him sat Diddy, emotionless, eyes fixed ahead like stone. Jay-Z took his seat. The judge gave a small nod. The prosecutor leaned in. State your name for the record. Sean Corey Carter. A gasp rose from the gallery. Even saying his name aloud was surreal. Do you understand why you're here, under subpoena? He nodded. And you know this is under penalty of perjury. He paused. I do. The prosecutor's next question changed everything. During your time with Mr. Combs, did you witness anything relevant to this investigation? Jay-Z exhaled. Yes, and for a long time, I chose to stay quiet. Silence fell. Did he blink? Only once. Why come forward now? The truth carries a weight, he said softly. It doesn't go away. Flick to the screen. Big eyes behind cameras fixed on him. This was more than music. More than loyalty. The prosecutor dove deeper. Tell us about those private parties, secret ones. Jay-Z's expression darkened. There were gatherings that felt controlled, selective. Men came through back doors, stayed in private wings. They never appeared in public photos. Some looked young, confused. Did you ever ask Diddy about them? Jay-Z paused. Once I made a joke about it. He just looked at me and said, not everything's for everyone, Jay. I never asked again. Did it bother you? Yes. Why stay silent? He looked down. Saying something would have meant war with Diddy, with his network. I wasn't ready, but I am now. Another tense pause. Diddy still unmoved, but the glow around him was fading. The prosecutor narrowed her gaze. Did you ever see Sean Combs act inappropriately with these men? Jay-Z's jaw clenched. The courtroom held its breath. Finally, yes. I saw things I can't unsee. The air tightened where there was a house in Hollywood Hills. After a private gathering, I stayed behind. I walked past the studio. The writ was cracked. Inside, Diddy was with a young man. It was intimate, and the other guy didn't look in control. Gasps echoed. The judge intervened to restore order. Did Diddy see you? He looked straight at me, daring me to speak. The prosecutor pressed. Did you confront him? No, I drove home. Didn't sleep. Next morning, an assistant called, joking bitterly. Hope you liked the after-hours show. Didn't see anything, right? That was a warning, Jay-Z whispered. The words hit like a blow. Why keep these interactions secret? His image meant everything, Jay-Z replied. He built a brand on power and swagger. The truth would have destroyed it. And what about consent? Some were willing, some were manipulated. That's where it became criminal, he said. The judge wheeled forward. Do you believe others know? Yes, Jay-Z nodded. Many stayed quiet out of fear, blacklisting, retaliation. Are you afraid? He met Diddy's motionless presence and answered, I wasn't till now. Staying silent made me part of the machine. A hush fell. His words were far stronger than any headline. The prosecutor then asked how Diddy silenced people. Jay-Z explained, he kept receipts, videos, digital material on people. At his parties, you might think it's just fun. Then the next day, you'd get a call. Keep last night between us. They'd show you clips just enough to remind you they could. Did you ever see these clips? Once he casually showed me, said it was insurance. Jay-Z tightened. It was footage of a famous actor in a compromising moment. It sat in a vault in New Jersey. The courtroom reeled. Prosecutor, did he ever ask you to do something with it? Jay-Z swallowed. Yes, to deliver a drive to bury a deal. I refused. That's when our relationship changed. The gallery was silent. Prosecutor softly asked, did he threaten you? A part of me was afraid. I pulled away. But I needed integrity over survival. Flash forward, the car crash. There was an artist in Miami who felt watched. 2 days later, he crashed his car in an accident that felt set up. He scribbled, don't trust the driver. After that, his career vanished. Murmurs again. The judge and jury listened with rapt attention. Prosecutor, have you tried to intervene? He nodded. There were others, executives, producers, even another actor, all gone. He said, they vanished. Each story was a hit, each confession deeper than the last. Why now? The prosecutor asked once more. To break the cycle. Jay-Z replied, loyalty shouldn't protect monsters. He talked about hidden files, names of artists, politicians, executives kept as leverage. The room erupted into murmurs. Prosecutor steadied her voice. Now the biggest question. Did Diddy have secret relationships with men? Jay-Z nodded slowly. Yes. Were they consensual? Not always. The courtroom went still, shocked, breathless. Tell us what you saw. He spoke of a 20-year-old, introduced as talent, left limping and disoriented. Everyone filed out of the room in a daze. Did you ever confront him? He did. He asked why lines were blurred. Diddy replied, everyone wants something. I Just give it to them before they ask. The words struck with deadly clarity. Were they predatory? Yes. Some criminal. The judge leaned forward. One juror wiped tears. The room became a reckoning chamber. Prosecutor, what do you want this to mean? Jay-Z looked around. Silence can't be the price of survival. Loyalty doesn't cover monsters. I owe it to those who were used, silenced. He looked at Diddy and said, I believe he should be held accountable for what he did, and who he hurt. The gallery erupted. Reporters sprinted to file. Social media exploded with shocking soundbites. Jay-Z exposes Diddy's hidden empire of fear. Vault of secrets and coercion revealed over it all. A single woman stood in the gallery, voice shaky. Thank you for not letting him win. Jay-Z slid down from the stand. He wasn't just a witness, he was a symbol of truth breaking through power. The trial was far from over, but the myth had been shattered. The untouchable was now undone, and the world would never look at Diddy or the industry the same again. The courtroom remained frozen, the kind of silence that follows a seismic revelation. Jay-Z had stepped off the stand, his testimony echoing like a thunderclap, and yet the day was far from over. What followed revealed just how deep the roots of fear, control, and betrayal ran inside Diddy's empire, how far and wide the damage had spread. Moments later, the prosecutor called her next witness, an unnamed executive from a major label, brought in under protective order. She appeared via video link, voice concealed, face pixelated. Still, her words cut through the tension. I was working on a project with Mr. Combs. Suddenly, budgets were cut. I was told not to ask why. When I persisted, I was removed. She described the fear that followed. I got calls, watch your step. I lost clients overnight. Her voice cracked. That's when I realized who ran this, and he didn't tolerate questions. The courtroom buzzed once more. Another person controlled another career, shadowed. The judge brought proceedings to order, excusing the executive's identity, but allowing her full testimony. The message was clear. The wrongdoing wasn't confined to private homes or parties, it infiltrated boardrooms and contracts. Outside, news vans circled like vultures. Social media erupted with outrage and disbelief. Memes and threads exploded. People really losing jobs because they asked questions. Wild. Industry execs admitted it. Jay-Z didn't just speak, he set a torch to the system. Back in the courtroom, the defense regrouped. Their strategy pivoted. They planned to argue that Jay-Z's testimony, while emotional, was fragmented and anecdotal, lacking corroborating records or witnesses. They would claim systemic failure, not a conspiracy. The judge allowed that defense motion but warned the jury. It is your role to weigh the credibility of those who would stay quiet and those who finally chose to speak. Every witness so far left them with a choice: believe the culture of fear or see a few missteps. Then came the bombshell. The prosecutor introduced a sealed affidavit from a whistleblower, a former security staffer who had since disappeared from the public eye. Under oath, the affidavit detailed scheduled retrievals of assets after private parties' USB drives, phones, envelopes with coded labels. The drop-offs were to a facility in New Jersey, possibly the same vault Jay-Z referenced. The affidavit even included a rough floor plan and a surveillance screenshot showing a late-night delivery van entering the site. The courtroom gasped. Defense counsel immediately objected, but the judge ruled it admissible. The jury may consider it under limited circumstances, she said, but these materials are not conclusive. We will weigh them carefully. In the gallery, spectators shifted uncomfortably. Outside, the courthouse plaza had turned into a flash mob of protesters and curious onlookers. Expose in progress. Power and silence. Whistleblower affidavit, LAKB evening. 3 hours had passed, yet nobody truly knew how or when it would end. The prosecution had laid bare the architecture of control, hidden recordings, hidden men, hidden deals. Inside, the jury looked exhausted but determined. The jurors had heard it. Fear, manipulation, coercion, played out through corridors, contracts, parties, and personalities. The defense painted a different image. Gray areas, consent, selective memories. Tomorrow, testimony from Gina, the alleged silent victim, was set to begin. Would she break the silence or crumble under pressure? Would she fill in the gaps? Jay-Z's words had opened. One thing was certain. The narrative had shifted. This wasn't just about one man accused of crimes, it was a reckoning. A look at how power shields secrets, how silence enables exploitation. What started as a trial against Diddy was now a trial of an entire industry's complicity. And now the world waited for the next act. Truth, accountability, and perhaps, justice. The courtroom, heavy with tension, seemed to hold its breath as the judge called for order. Jay-Z's bombshell testimony had catalyzed a deeper reckoning. Now every witness, document, and shred of silence was coming undone. Soon after, the prosecution introduced a sealed affidavit from a former security staffer, a key insider who had disappeared from public view, presented under court-ordered anonymity. The affidavit laid bare routines of retrieving assets, encrypted drives, phones, and disguised packets right after private events. These items were transported to a nondescript facility in New Jersey, possibly the vault Jay-Z had referenced. A crude floor plan, annotated with roots, plus a blurred nighttime photo of a delivery van entering the premises, sent a tremor through the courtroom. Despite an objection from the defense, the judge admitted the evidence, cautioning the jury to evaluate it carefully. The gallery trembled. Reporters darted to their phones. Social media erupted. Whistleblower confirmed. Secret asset vault. Inside network, black vault and envelope runs. Jay-Z was right. By dusk, the scale of the revelations was clear. The prosecution had revealed an entire apparatus designed for secrecy, hundreds of silent transactions, hidden evidence, victims left without voice. What comes next will be pivotal. Gina's testimony. The prosecution signaled she may finally take the stand. If she breaks through the fear barrier and speaks openly, the personal stories behind the system will gain faces and names. Unsealing records. More documents from phone logs to financial filings are expected to emerge, giving form to the network Jay-Z exposed. Public and industry response. Journalists buzz, while insiders watch with anxious stakes. The murmur is clear. If Diddy network was built on suppression, many may now fear being exposed. Tomorrow could be the tipping point. The trial that began as a high-profile celebrity case has shifted into an expose on power, manipulation, and institutional silence. The jury now finds itself not just weighing criminal allegations, but interrogating the moral compromises of an entire industry. As lights dimmed and the court adjourned for the night, one fact remained undeniable. This was more than a turning point. And in the shadows of the courtroom, the world waited for the next revelation that could shatter even more carefully constructed illusions. As the morning sun cast long shadows across the courtroom, everyone knew the pivotal moment had arrived. Gina, the alleged victim long discussed but never heard, was about to take the stand. The air was thick with expectancy and fear. A hush fell as the lawyer escorted her to the witness chair. Her voice trembled as she stated her name. Sworn in, she began. It started at a party hosted by Mr. Combs in Miami in 2022. She whispered. She described being approached by well-dressed men with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. They said I was special, invited me back to his private villa. Her voice cracked. I was nervous, I was scared. I didn't know what would happen. She spoke of drugs offered as gifts, and a driver urging her to take them, then waking up alone and terrified. I didn't know where I was at first, she said. My phone was missing. I felt trapped. Her eyes filled with tears as she recounted lying on a couch, too disoriented to move, while unknown guests streamed in and out. When the prosecution asked how she escaped, Gina paused, voice barely audible. Someone knocked on the door. An assistant. I think he told me I needed to leave now. She described walking, half-conscious, into the street, where a cop found her, disheveled, shaking. Photographs of her bruised arms appeared on the courtroom screens. For the first time, the room, jury, judge, reporters witnessed the reality. Behind the legal terms, the prosecutor pressed, "Did you ever have contact with Mr. Combs afterward?" She nodded. Once, at a gala, he passed and said, "That night wasn't your fault." He sounded almost sincere, and then disappeared. Defense attorney's turn. You said this happened in 2022 on the private villa estate. Yes. Were there others around? At least 10 people were outside the door. The defense tried to suggest confusion, questioned dates, lighting, logistics. Gina stood firm. She recalled the color of the carpet, the night sky, even the sound of water in the pool. Her final words pierced the silence. I was lost, alone, and ashamed. I didn't know this could happen to me. It shouldn't have happened to anyone. The judge called for order. The jury seemed shaken in for good reason. This was not hearsay. This was testimony from someone who had lived the hidden horror. Outside the courtroom, reporters raced out. Gina speaks. Miami horror in courtroom breakthrough. Social media lit up with grief and rage. This is what we feared. People left helpless. Witnessing trauma on the stand changes everything. I sighed. The next phase was waiting. Cross-examination, reactive testimony from Diddy's side, and the weighing of startling evidence. Phone logs, financial trails, hotel records, all tying Gina to the night she described. The prosecution introduced her phone's ping data, showing her presence at the villa and a gap in cell signal that aligned with her blackout. The defense objected, but the judge ruled admissible. Correlation doesn't prove causation, he stated. Yet Gina's words carried the weight of everything that had come before. Rick's failures, conspiracies of silence. As Gina was excused, the jury filed out, subdued. The judge addressed the courtroom. Witness stands remain protected. He reminded everyone of the seriousness of the moment. This trial was transforming. What came next would shape the case further. The looming cross-examination of Gina, the introduction of Diddy's defense, the return of the sealed vault affidavit, and more bombshells still to shake the industry to its core. Would the jury believe Gina? Would they connect her trauma to Jay-Z's industry-wide revelations? Public opinion turned to a hum of urgency as the courtroom prepared for the next, most explosive act.